Welcome on into BKL Nightly. It is Thursday, October the 30th, day before Halloween. The scary Chiefs coming to town on Sunday. I'm Thad Brown, Caleb Carr, Rachel Liebert along with me. We are a three-man weave today as we talk about what will probably be the biggest regular season game of the season for the Bills. Before we get started with that, let's get you updated on the injury situation for the Bills. Got some good news today, kind of in a limited fashion. Josh Palmer was back at practice today. He was limited in practice, and you kind of see the video here. He wasn't exactly moving around like a guy who's about to play football this Sunday. Nothing official from the team, but just watching him go through drills, this is not a guy moving anywhere close to full speed. So I think it's pretty unlikely that Palmer will be available for this game for the Bills Sunday against the Chiefs. As for the rest of the injury report, beyond that, a little bit of mix of good and bad news. Daquan Jones is still a DNP with the calf injury. I guess he's not going to play. The surprise today, Shaq Thompson missed practice with a hamstring injury, which is actually kind of a notable injury because he's been arguably the best linebacker on the field for the Bills. So we'll see what he does on Friday. That'll be certainly one to keep an eye on. The other injury of note, Matt Prater, limited for a second day with a calf injury. Thing is, the Bills did not add another kicker this week. So I always say with injuries, believe what the team does. Actions speak louder than words, right? So if the Bills don't have a kicker on the roster, I don't think there's a legit concern that they think Prater is not going to be able to answer the bell when it comes to Sunday. As for Terrell Bernard, Matt Milano, they were full practices again for the second day in a row. Bills fans should be very encouraged. Those two guys should be ready to go for Sunday against the Chiefs. All right, let's talk about the notable controversy of the day, and this kind of popped up out of nowhere a little bit. Steve Smith, guys, on his podcast yesterday talked about Keon Coleman, and this is the quote. Didn't listen to it. This was kind of pulled from reports, but Smith said about Coleman, he ain't the guy, can't get separation, can't get off the jam, doesn't have it. You can't teach a dog how to bark. You either got it or you don't. Now, Keon Coleman did speak to the media today. Before we all react to that, let's show you how Keon reacted to it this afternoon.
I feel like handling things pretty good. The ups and downs of it, the flows of just being a professional. So I feel pretty confident about how I handled that.
How have you learned to deal with the ups and downs, like you said, to try to
take them for what they are, you know, find out what caused them. If you can solve it, solve it. If not, you got to roll with it.
So that's Keon on how he thinks he's handled things just in general this year. He said about the actual Steve Smith quote, he had no comment. He hadn't heard it. I highly doubt no one's talked to him about it. He does own a phone, so I'm sure someone has talked about it. Kid, let me start with you. Whether it be about the Steve Smith comment or just Keon's actions in general this year, give me your temperature take of where we are with the Keon experience at this point in year two.
I mean, we are on the downward slope. I think earlier this week on Monday, Keon was my concern up guy, and it seems
reacting
like
to the Panthers game.
Yes, reacting to the Panthers game, and I think he is. Sounds like he's Steve Smith's concern up guy as well, and I mean for good reason. He like the things that Steve said aren't necessarily wrong. You know, like he didn't just go out there and say, "Oh, he sucks, he's terrible, whatever." You know, he had some points about, like, he's not creating separation, he's not getting off the line, you know, things like that. And those are things that have been a problem of Keon's game in the past and have been, like, a problem this season. I do like the way that Coleman reacted. I agree with you. He's probably seen it. I don't think he just has no clue what's going on. But I do believe that Coleman has matured a little bit over his time, even just being in his second year. And I do like his reaction of just like, I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep my head down. And if you want to prove someone like Steve Smith wrong, prove that you do have that bark, that's how you do it. You just keep your head down.
Yeah, he gave a very textbook answer. I mean, kind of what you would expect from a guy. I mean, any criticism for any athlete, that's kind of what they say is, oh, I didn't hear it, or I'm just going to, put my head down and work. But I think, like you said, Caleb, it's not that the comments were necessarily wrong. Keon has had a very underwhelming season, especially coming off of week one where everybody thought, okay, this is the start of a Keon Coleman breakout year. We just saw it in week one in this big win, and now he's just trailed off since then. But, I mean, I still think there's time for him to disprove that narrative, and I still think, we could see something from him maybe this weekend or in weeks to come. I think Keon is still I mean, the breakout season is over. We're halfway through the season, and he has yet to prove that. But I still think there's time for him to show a little bit more growth, especially with the maturity that mentally he's shown throughout the season.
The two parts of this that you guys have talked about a little bit are how Keon has handled the situation, maybe specifically Steve Smith today. And I think there's been more maturity for sure. I thought the way he handled the interview with media today was fine. I thought he addressed it, and he's not been the most verbose. That press conference when he was a rookie after he was drafted with the cookies and the jacket, that dude is gone, and I don't know if he's ever coming back. But a guy who can be a responsible professional, he's been better with that this year. Now, this is also a year where he got benched for something that caused the problem. So the maturity level might be better, but it ain't to the bar where it probably needs to be. As for what Steve Smith said, I think Steve Smith's not wrong. The only thing I would say is that with Keon Coleman or anyone at this point in his career, I'm still not to the point where I'm just going to be done with him. I want to give him more time, because if Keon goes out on Sunday and goes 7 for 115 and makes a catch in the fourth quarter for a touchdown that puts the Bills ahead, where he's going up over Trent McDuffie to Moss a guy, then you might reevaluate where you are with Keon. I think we are deep enough into his career to realize that's unlikely, and that would almost be where did this come from? But we're still early enough in his career where it can be possible. And there's a number of Bills players who have improved in year 3. That was kind of the year they broke out. So I'll give Keon a little more time. That's why with Dalton Kincaid, I wanted to see this year before I totally kind of wash my hands of the Dalton Kincaid experience. The Bills do have another receiver who is a part of the team. Again, Gabe Davis got back to practice this week. Now, look, he's on the practice squad. It's kind of a weird move. He wasn't really on injured reserve. He was on practice squad injured, and now he's off of that, and he's on practice squad. I think theoretically the Bills could bring him up and have him play on Sunday. I don't think they will, but with Josh Palmer still not looking ready, it is a possibility. So, guys, let's talk about Gabe Davis a little bit. When we think about Gabe Davis and what he can contribute, Rachel, do you think he can make a difference? And how soon do you want to see the Bills at least give Gabe Davis a look in a game?
I don't think he can make a difference. I mean, I would love to see if he can. I mean, I don't think it can hurt the Bills' passing game at this point to get a different receiver in the mix. I think we talked about this last week as well. Just getting a new face out there, someone who, I mean, could make a difference. But, I mean, he hasn't been healthy. I don't know if he's even fully healthy. I know he's off of, that IR practice squad designation. But, I mean, I don't think he can make a difference. But I would love to see. I would love to see him try.
How soon do you think? I mean, like as soon as possible, or does it have to be the Bills have to be desperate injury wise? In other words,
I would say they'd have to be desperate.
Considering who they have, are you like the Elijah Moore, Curtis Samuel, Josh Palmer group is going to be better, and I'm not even giving Gabe Davis a look? Or do you want to maybe say, you know what, Curtis Samuel, you can take another day and put the cap on. I want to see Gabe in the game.
I mean, I could see Curtis Samuel being out of the mix for a Gabe Davis opportunity.
I don't mean him specifically. I mean just generically one of those guys.
I mean him specifically. I mean, I think that would be the guy.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, I don't think it'll happen this weekend, just with the Josh Palmer situation. But I think if the Bills were desperate enough, or if after this weekend there's still no production in the receiver room, last week was a struggle with just the passing yards in general, I think it could be in the mix. But I don't think this weekend will be the week that we see that.
Caleb?
The only reason I would say they should is because I believe it was 2021 that the Bills and Chiefs played in the AFC Championship, and Gabe Davis.
That was the 13th. That was the 13-second game.
Yeah. Gabe Davis had an amazing game. That's like the only reason I would say bring him up, is to maybe see if he can recreate that magic. I think Gabe Davis of like 2021, 2022 even, I think was his best year as a Bill. That Gabe Davis could probably come on and make an impact, seeing as this receiving core hasn't really done much, and so it's kind of one of those things like, let's just see if a new face can kind of make a spark. But he hasn't been that in like 2-3 years, and he's been sitting on the practice squad. I mean, the only thing that he benefits is that he had a previous connection with Josh Allen, and he kind of knows his play style. But I mean, at this point, everyone else on the roster does as well. So like, that's not really a leg up. I think he could come. I agree with Rachel. I think the Bills need to be desperate to bring him up, given that the fact that they haven't already. I think they need to be desperate. I don't think he's just like a throwaway, like if he comes up, it's over, everything's done, the wide receiver room is toast. I think he's a decent piece to kind of throw in there if you need, but I don't think he's like a consistent up every week guy.
I don't think he's a likely impact guy, but I'm a little surprised you guys are kind of down on the whole idea because Gabe Davis can play in this league. You know, he might not be great, but he can play. He got hurt last year in the middle of a not great year, but injury is the thing that ended the season last year. And, you know, to your point, Caleb, he does have 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in the bag. How many other guys on the Bills' current receiver group do we think that is likely, you know, or even possible? So I think the moment you feel like he is good, I want to go out there and just see. I want to try and figure it out. The problem with this is that if you put a guy in that you want to have an impact, you got to sit Shakir, Keon, or Palmer. Mm-hmm. You're not sitting Shakir ever. So the other two guys, if you really sit or reduce reps, those are two guys you spend high assets on, and that's an early point to admit that, well, we need to find something else. So that's a problem. One more positive for the Gabe idea, you put another receiver on the field who can block in your run game. Tyrell Shavers has been that. He's been pretty good. But if you add Gabe too, now you can, you know, you could go out there with Jackson Hawes, Gabe Davis, Tyrell Shavers, Reggie Gilliam, and have the most kick-A run blocking group that still has legit, maybe not great, but legit receivers to go with it. So that is an idea, you know, with Gabe as well. Some more some more, let me start again, 3, 2, 1. Some more Bills news today. The Bills announced that they have re-signed with St. John Fisher for 3 more years to hold camp in Rochester. Not really a surprise. This is something that's been rumored in Rochester for a few months now. I think at the end of the day, as long as Sean McDermott wants to start camp on the road somewhere else, the Bills are going to begin their season in Rochester. McDermott, throughout his career, whether with the Eagles, the Panthers, or the Bills, has always gone away to camp. And this is another indication, even with a new stadium being built, a new facility to where there's all kinds of new money, new reasons to move camp to Buffalo, the Bills are still committing to Rochester because this is the model the head coach likes and the model that the quarterback, who makes a gazillion dollars himself, has not only endorsed but embraced. So not a surprise. I think good for Rochester. There's a lot of people in this town where we are recording that really, really enjoy the fact the Bills begin their season here every single year. So good news for Rochester. I think good news for the Bills too, because this is something that is comfortable, something they like to do it. And, you know, at the very least, it's something that has worked for them to make the playoffs. They haven't gone to a Super Bowl, but they do win a lot of games after camp happens in Rochester every single year. All right, now time for the Bills Roundtable. 3 questions. This is all going to be Bills Chief related. Let's dive into this matchup. Question number 1 here. So let's say the Bills win this game on Sunday. When we get to Monday, who is the defensive player who we are talking about first out of this game? Who's the guy that has to have an impact? Caleb, you can go first.
I think the guy that we need to be talking about if the Bills are coming out with a win is probably Christian Benford, in my opinion. I think he's been okay all year, but this is a offense that is just exploding on all cylinders right now, especially in the pass game. Patrick Mahomes looks great. The addition of Rashee Rice looks like one of the best additions this entire season so far. And I think if Christian Benford can go in and can kind of be the star that the Bills need him to be and can slow down that offense, that would be huge. The other thing that he would need to do, I think, or honestly just the Bills secondary as a whole, is get turnovers. I think we need to see at least an interception or 2 from this Bills defense, and Christian Benford being the guy that was brought in and paid to be the star of this defense, I think is just the guy that you got to turn to first to say we need a big game-changing play, go make one.
You stole mine.
I'm so sorry.
Christian Benford is my answer. Essentially every single reason that you just gave. I mean, he's had a pretty quiet season so far. He's been fine, but I mean, we haven't really talked much about him, you know, post-game debriefs and everything like that. So, yeah, same thing. I mean, we know the Chiefs' offense relies on their passing game a lot more than maybe teams the Bills have played these last few weeks. So, Christian Benford, I think, will be the person we should be talking about if the Bills secondary, if the Bills defense really locks things down against Kansas City.
It's funny that I actually went same position, but I went with the other guy. I think it's Max Hairston. And I get the Christian Benford thought. You know, you want your number 1 to play like a number 1 here. Here's my thinking, and I might be deep in the weeds on this, so kind of come along with me for this ride. Chiefs actually have the quickest time to throw in the NFL. which is not that they have a quarterback who's afraid, but they have an offense that likes to move the ball around horizontally, screen, short, slant, that kind of thing. Well, if you're going to work horizontally and you spread the Bills' defense out, that's going to expose them to the run game. So you can't just spread your defense out altogether and play that outside pass. So you need corners, Christian Benford being one of them, but the short, fast guy who you think can hang out with Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice on the edge, that guy needs to have a game. Now, I don't know if he's gonna, because it's only game 2, but if the Bills can ISO their corners on the outside a little more and feel like they're okay battling for that screen stuff, and this might be a bad idea, this is where I think you open everything else up. You can assess more, or you can use more bodies in the middle to handle Travis Kelce over the middle. You can leave bodies in the middle to defend the run game. That isn't great, but it's good enough. So to me, I land on Max Hairston as the guy. If this is going to be a win, I think we're talking about, wow, Max Hairston really held his own on the edge in this game against the Chiefs. Question number 2 for you guys, simple one. The Bills going to win? How many points do they got to score? Caleb?
I feel like it's harsh. Like, I wrote it down and I'm looking at it and it feels harsh, but honestly, 40 points. Like, I think the Bills offense needs, I know.
You're right about the harsh part.
I know, I feel, but I think this Chiefs offense, like we just talked about, they look elite. They're moving the ball at will. And like, going back real quick to the last one, I like your point about Max Harrison. I just don't think it's fair that it's only his second game. That's a lot of pressure. And I just don't know how much trust outside of Christian Benford, and my trust for him is slowly dwindling. I don't know how much trust I have in this Bills secondary to be able to defend these guys that are really fast and are really good and are getting the ball thrown to them from Patrick Mahomes. So I think the Bills defense isn't really going to be able to slow, much less stop this offense. So because of that, I think the Bills need to put up 40 points.
I don't think that's ridiculous. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Let's not.
I admit it is ridiculous. It feels ridiculous, but like when I look at everything and I look at how much points the Chiefs have been putting up against some of the other teams that they've been facing.
It's not like they've been scoring 40s. I mean, it's been 31, 28, 28, that kind of thing.
Yes, but I think in a shootout, Patrick Mahomes, especially against the Bills, I think the Chiefs have the ability to put up 38 points, and if the Bills want to win, they got to put up 40.
I'm kind of, well, I'm going to let Rachel go first. I have a comment, but go ahead. You give me your number. How many points do the Bills have to score?
I went a little bit less than 40. I said 35. I would say anywhere between like 31 and 35, but we'll say 35 is my definitive number. The Bills have put up 30-plus points in each of their wins. The Mahomes. Oh, my gosh. Well, that's what we can call them. The Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes.
The Kansas City Mahomes.
The Kansas City Mahomes. The Chiefs have put up 30-plus points in all of their wins from week 4 forward, I think, except for maybe one game. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a shootout. 40 points, I don't think is impossible. I mean, we saw it in week 1 against Baltimore, but I say 35, I think, is the Bills need to at least put up 35 points to get the win.
I think it's only 30. And two things about this. Number one, I think if the winner of this game has 40, it ain't the Bills. Yeah, I think if this is a shootout, I think Kansas City wins this game. But here's the thing. Regular season games, playoffs are different, but regular season games, the last few years, this game to me has felt like a division battle where teams know each other so well. They're very reticent to try anything weird because they know the other side has seen everything you got. Both sides know what they're trying to get to, what they're trying to do. Yes, Rashee Rice is a little bit of a new piece, but the games have felt conservative. And to that point, so regular season games, here's the losing score from Bills Chiefs. 21 points last year with Kansas City. 2023, that game was 20-17. So 17 was a losing score. 2022, Bills Chiefs, where's the game? 24-20. 2021, let's see how far back I can go with this. 38-20. So look, the losing team in this regular season game the last 4 years has not scored more than 3 touchdowns. So I don't think this game is going to be one where the losing team scores 30 just because of the way these two teams tend to play each other when they go head to head. Sound crazy to you guys or no?
I don't think so. The only rebut I have is like, I have so much less confidence in this Bills team this year than I have any of the years heading into this game that you just named. Like any other year, I have a little bit more confidence in them going into the Chiefs game. This year, I barely have any.
Well, I mean, let's be fair. Was it 23? That was the Sean McDermott, Tyler Dunn article year where they went in the Chiefs game off of bye, having lost 3 of 4. So I think your lack of confidence has to be at least even for 23 as it is now.
Maybe even then.
All right.
I don't think it's that crazy. 30. I do think the way the Chiefs offense is rolling right now, though, I think they are going to put up 30 points, and I think the Bills, if they want to win, have to put up more than that. So that's my
That's
35.
kind of where my thought was going.
And you guys are probably, I mean, that makes more logical sense. Like I said, I'm basing this more off of recent history about where I'm landing on 30 points. All right, third question for our roundtable. A little more complicated, but I think a fun conversation to get into. There's a narrative out there that the Chiefs just own this rivalry, even though Mahomes versus Allen is only 5-4 Mahomes. But that no matter what, the Chiefs are the better team, and that's not changing. What can the Bills do on Sunday, if anything, and the answer can be nothing if you want to make it that, to alter the narrative that no matter what, this is still Kansas City being the big brother and Josh Allen and the Bills are the team that always has the lower bunk in the buck bed? Rachel, I'll let you go first on this one.
I think the Bills. First, I don't know if there is a way to change the narrative, but if they do, I think they have to win by at least 2 touchdowns, which is obviously probably not what any of us are going to put in our predictions in about 5 minutes.
Unlikely.
But I think the way they do that is they have to shut down Patrick Mahomes, as simple as that sounds. Patrick Mahomes is leading the league right now out of the pocket first downs. I think he's like 51 passing and rushing. Behind him is Justin Herbert, who has like 18 less than him. So Patrick Mahomes out of the pocket is, I feel like, the key to the Chiefs offense just continuing to just put up points on people. And if the Bills are going to win by 2 touchdowns, they have to eliminate that aspect of Patrick Mahomes' game. Do I think they will? I don't know. But I think it comes back to they have to figure out how to shut him down, which sounds stupid. I mean, yes, you have to shut down the quarterback to win. But that's what I think they need to do this weekend.
Sounds like the Bills have to keep Patrick Mahomes in the pocket, right?
Exactly.
Problem solved.
Problem solved.
Back to you.
Easy enough.
We'll talk to you on
Easy
Monday.
enough.
Caleb, go ahead. Can the Bills alter this rivalry, or the narrative that they have no chance to alter this rivalry at all?
So my initial reaction, my initial thought was similar to Rachel's, where they need to blow out the Chiefs. Like, if they're going to change this narrative at all, they need to blow out the Chiefs. But then I kind of thought of it as like, okay, can they at least alter it a little bit? Can they at least change it? Can they at least be like, hey, I know we kind of seem like we're having a little bit of down year, but we're still right there. We're still Super Bowl contenders. We can still beat the Chiefs. And I think the way to do that is to win a close game. Like, it's to win a game kind of like the Ravens game. I think that proves that, like, even, you can hang with them the whole game, and when it gets close down the end, you still have the playmakers, you still have the defense to maybe get a couple stops. I would love to see maybe a Bills late game drive, Josh Allen to Keon Coleman for the go-ahead touchdown, and then the Bills get a stop on defense instead of letting them go down the field in 13 seconds, right? Like, I think a close game that's won on the last drive, to me, would prove more, because I think if the Bills blow out the Chiefs, that could also be a situation where the Chiefs just don't look good. And then I think that's going to be like, all right, the Chiefs just had a bad game. The Bills are still they're still the Chiefs that just had a bad game. But if the Chiefs go out there and play like the Chiefs, and the Bills can still beat them by 3 points, to me, that's louder than a blowout.
So a game like the Baltimore game.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well,
Yes.
don't play the Baltimore. The Baltimore game is like a miracle.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
A similar score, though. Like
Yes.
a similar, what was that one, 41-40?
Yeah.
40 to
There
30.
you go.
Yeah, 41-40. Yeah.
What did I say, 40 points?
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Well, I know what you're saying. And let me tell you, the more you talked about that, the more I loved it.
I could see it in your eyes.
Yeah,
I could see it.
When you think about where the how that game will go, because you're right. If the Bills, like to Rachel's point, not to knock down what you just said, but I think we've determined you're wrong and Raquel is right.
Well, I still completely agree with Rachel.
Yeah.
But I see Rachel's situation a little bit more of where the Chiefs look bad more than the Bills.
That's
do.
the thing.
Yeah.
If the Bills win 30-7, it's because Patrick Mahomes had like 2 balls deflected in their weird turnovers, and they just didn't show up.
Yeah.
And people will be like, well, the Chiefs had a bad game, and the Bills were fortunate to be on the other sideline this particular week. But your scenario, where both teams play well, where the Chiefs play well, the Bills hang with them the whole way through. And then, the Chiefs team last year that made it a habit of, we're going to steal the game at the end every single week. If the Bills like, no. This time we're going to do it, especially for a Bills team. We've talked about this before. Josh Allen doesn't have a whole lot of dramatic late game wins for a guy who's one of the more ridiculous quarterbacks we've ever seen. To have him 27-23, you're down, 2 minutes to go, you drive the length of the field. Keon Coleman would be great, but who cares who catches it?
Yeah, don't care.
Anybody in the end zone, 15 seconds to go, and you rip the heart out of the Chiefs, I think that might alter the narrative too. The one I had, which is also not nearly as good as yours, but I think the Bills have to look good on defense one way or the other, and here's why. the offensive pieces the Bills have, we've kind of seen them all before, right? James Cook, the O-line, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid. We've seen this cast of characters face the Chiefs. And if they play well, you'll be like, well, they played well, but we've also seen all the other games where they didn't play well, so this is a one-off, kind of similar to the Rachel scenario with the blowout. But the Bills on defense have Joey Bosa now. They have Michael Hoyt. They have Max Hairston, Shaq Thompson, if you want to make the argument, Deion Walker, just Jordan Hancock, maybe. There's a number of faces here to where if those guys are the scenario, the key, the thing that gets the Bills over the top, I can see the reaction being, well, look, the Chiefs, I think they'll probably be the team that I'd pick in the playoffs, but the Bills look different. And that's what we were talking about here. Can the Bills look different in this rivalry? To me, you got to do it with the guys who literally are different. Speaking of those young guys who are getting their first taste of Bills and Chiefs, I talked to a few of them yesterday about what it's like to be dropped into this rivalry, because you think about it, guys like Max Hairston, Deion Walker, Jordan Hancock, whoever, these guys were like in high school when Bills Chiefs became a thing, and now they're going to play in it for the first time. So how do you get ready for it? They actually have a pretty good plan.
You know, the opportunity to be able to pick off Patrick Mahomes, that's all I'm looking forward to, and just going out there and, like I said, just not, making it bigger than what it is, just go out there and play ball.
The fan in me is excited, but the player in me is just like, it's another game. Coming in every day to work, we're not doing anything different. We just got to keep doing us.
The main thing is just not making it bigger than it is, not making it smaller than it is. Like we've been saying all week, it's another week. We're playing a really good team. And credit to them, they're a great offense, a great team. So we're gonna have to come ready to play.
Not really a surprise, I think, from what the Bills had to say. This is a team that's very good at treating every game the same. And look, as we've talked about, the number of times the Bills and Chiefs have gotten together, at this point, it almost feels like just another game because they've done this so many dang times. All right, guys, got a couple minutes left here. Time to make some predictions. It is Bills, it is Chiefs. Rachel, you have the first say on how this one's going to go.
I said the Bills need to put up 35 points if they want to win. And I'm going to stick with the Bills. I've yet to go pick against them this season. I'm going to go 35-31 Bills. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's at Highmark Stadium. I think that helps a little bit. And I'm just feeling a Bills win. I'm feeling a 35-31 Bills win.
Detailed analysis, but I can't really go against it that much. Caleb, what do you got? I wish I was feeling a Bills win. I'm going to go Chiefs. I have Chiefs 34, Bills 27. I originally had 34. Well, the reason I have 34 is because I think the Chiefs are probably going to score on pretty much just every possession. Their offense is insane right now. I originally had the Bills at 23, but kind of to Rachel's point a little bit, Highmark Stadium, it's home. It just gave me a vibe, so I'm going to go 34-27. I am going to take the Bills, 28-27. I've really thought a lot about this one all week. I spent half of the end game, which everybody can see on Rochester First, 3 o'clock and 9 o'clock every Monday and Thursday. Shameless plug. Here's the thing. First of all, it's a gut feel thing. I'm kind of with Rachel on this.
Hey, you made fun of me. We're all talking about vibes and gut feelings.
Did I make fun of you?
You said detailed analysis.
Well, I made fun of that part. I'm sorry. You're right. I apologize for that. So first for me is gut feel. Secondly, I just don't buy the Chiefs are going to roll through everybody. I just don't believe it. Think about the Chiefs, too. They fumbled the ball 8 times this year, recovered all of them. At some point, that luck runs out. Bills found out what happens when you start losing fumbles against the Patriots. I think the Chiefs might have that problem against Buffalo, a Bills team that suddenly has the turnovers rolling. Look, I think if the Bills win this game, they got to keep it close and steal it. If the Chiefs win, to me, I think this ends up being a 2-score game, a game where they just look better. Look, if you can slow down that quick passing game, I think you can make some hay against this Chiefs offense, and I think the Bills offense will do just enough. Be good in the red zone, but make sure you do a little bit on defense as well. All right, that's going to do it for us here on BKL Nightly. For Rachel Liebert and Caleb Carr, I'm Thad Brown. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Monday or Sunday to wrap this one all up.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.